Welcome to another study style session for the BJCP training program from the Brewers Anonymous Homebrew Club. This time we are taking a look at sub-style 1D American wheat, and this will wrap up our look at Category 1 Standard American Beer. So let's get started, and we'll start with what we always do, the vital statistics of the beer. And starting with the original gravity, that range goes from 1.040 to 1.055. Final gravity range is 1.008 to 1.013. IBUs range from 15 to 30. The SRM range runs from 3 to 6. And finally, the ABV is 4.0 to 5.5%. All right, before we get into those components that we're going to judge this beer on, if we are given one of these for our exam, we're also actually going to be judging this in this session regardless. Let's talk about the overall impression. The overall impression in terms of what the guideline says. And it says, a pale, refreshing, grainy, doughy, or bready wheat beer with a clean fermentation profile and a variable hop character and bitterness. Its lighter body and higher carbonation contribute to its easy drinking nature. All right, so now the things that we are going to be looking for in this beer and noting if what we find in regards to these descriptions and what we don't find, or I guess even added to that, what we find that are not in these descriptions, starting with aroma. Aroma reads low to moderate grainy, bready, or doughy wheat character. A light to moderate malty sweetness is acceptable. Moderate ester is optional, usually a neutral profile. Banana is inappropriate. Low to moderate citrusy, spicy, floral, or fruity hop aroma. Not typically dry hopped. No clove phenols. And I have said this before, I think even in videos in this training course already, that I really think the banana and clove notes were written specifically out of frustration of people entering what would be more typically a Hefeweizen or a Weiss beer into an American wheat beer because of the whole just wheat beer concept. That's just a guess, but it's very strange that the last sentence is 3 words of no clove phenols. Anyway, moving on to appearance, we have usually bright yellow to gold. Clarity may range from brilliant to hazy, with yeast approximating a Weiss beer. Big, long, lasting white head. And into flavor, we have a light to moderately strong, bready, doughy, or grainy wheat flavor, which can linger into the finish. May have a moderate malty sweetness or can finish quite dry and crisp. Low to moderate hop bitterness, sometimes lasting into the finish. Balance is usually even, but may be slightly bitter. Low to moderate crispy, spicy, floral, or fruity hop flavor. Moderate ester is optional. No banana, no clove phenols. Okay, I really think I'm going to just rest my case on that. I am almost positive that's the whole. I think there's a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? A lot of merit to my theory, but. Anyway, moving on. Mouthfeel, medium light to medium body, medium high to high carbonation, slight creaminess is optional. Wheat beers sometimes have a soft, fluffy impression. And then finally, as far as the information we want to get out of the guidelines for this study session are the commercial examples. And we got quite a few here. We have Bell's Oberon, Boulevard Unfiltered Wheat Beer, Good Life Sweet as Pacific Ale, Goose Island 312 Urban Wheat Ale, and Windmere Hefeweizen. And that is everything that we are interested in the guidelines. But of course, there's more information. You can check that out at your leisure. But as far as what we're going to be judging this beer against, we now have here's my study sheet. We now have our bullet points that we want to memorize at the very least. The more, the better, of course. But this is what my goal is, to memorize this. So I'm ready for the tasting exam. And I do have one of the commercial examples, and it's Bell's Oberon. And I think this is probably a beer most people are familiar with that are craft beer fans, at least in Florida. I think it's one of the 2 that I know I've seen in Florida really ever when I've been looking for any kind of wheat beer. Bell's Oberon, and I believe Goose Island 312 is the other one that I've seen the most. So let's go ahead, crack this open. I got a sample cup, and we'll see what we get right off the bat. I will set my study sheet out of eyesight. I will check that again before I judge. All right, you probably heard the cracking of the beer. Let's see how I do on the pork. There, I did a little aggressive at the end there, what you could see. And just looking at it, that's not just condensation. It is a little bit hazy. It's a little cloudy. That white head is very soft. That's almost what I would describe as billowy. Let's see what we get in the aroma. Oh, I do get that weedy dough kind of character, not really the sweet malt I'm usually been used to in the past couple beers that we've done. Very fresh and almost sharp citrus notes. A little bit lemon-like, maybe a little orange zest. No real distinct esters other than just a general ester note. I might dive into that idea a little bit more, try to dig something out, a better descriptor for that when I do my score sheet. But that's what I get off the bat here. Taste-wise, taste mostly follows everything I said, except with an additional bitterness. I get kind of the weedy, doughy type of malt flavor. I get that bright, that's a better word, bright citrus flavor, a little bit of that orange zest, a little bit of a lemon without it being sour or kind of like a lemon punch to the palate. And then there's a bitterness that follows through on everything that kind of lingers in the aftertaste a little bit, but it's already gone. And the time I sipped and said that descriptor was gone. I'm going to taste it one more time. Yeah, the bitterness is there, but it just does not linger. And it comes out in the finish like that, but then fades right away. So, all right, what should I have gotten out of that? Let's see. So aroma. Low to moderate, grainy, bready, or doughy wheat. Yes. Low to moderate, sweet maltiness, acceptable. I didn't really get any of that. So it was like it's noted, acceptable, not required. Low to moderate, citrusy, spicy, floral fruit hop. I definitely got some citrusy, maybe some floral in there too. No banana, no clove. I didn't even think to mention that, but I certainly didn't get it. I would have noted it. Appearance, pale yellow to gold. Yes, we didn't actually discuss the color, but you can see that. This is one of the rare instances where the beer is actually... I'm looking at the monitor here. The color is just about the same as it is in real life on camera. That doesn't happen often with this camera. Brilliant to hazy. It's closer to hazy. I'd call it maybe cloudy. It's not like a hazy IPA, but it's definitely not clear. Big, long-lasting head. It was big when I poured it, but there is remnants of it. Again, it's more of a collar. You can see the beer on the top there. The entire head is not, I'm trying to get it to focus on that. I'm just making things worse. But you could see that it's more to a collar and a little bit of a dusting rather than covering the entire beer as a head. Flavor, light to moderate, strong, bready, doughy, or grainy wheat. Yes, may have moderate sweetness that can finish dry. Yeah, I didn't really talk about mouthfeel, which was bad on my part. I would not call it dry. I think it's more towards a medium body and a little towards the sweet without being cloyingly sweet. I'll kind of just throw that in there before I get the mouthfeel. May have moderate sweetness or can finish dry. I just said that. Low to moderate hop bitterness. I did get some bitterness. I would say it's bordering on moderate. Not quite there, but close. Low to moderate citrus, spicy, floral, or fruity hop. Yes, no banana, no clove. Mouthfeel, medium light to medium body. This one I would say, is closer to medium body than medium light. Medium high to high carbonation. Yes, I wish I'd mentioned that. And slight creaminess optional. There is a creamy texture to that. All right, so I'm going to review this again to have fresh in my memory, and I'm going to go fill out a score sheet, which I have somewhere here. Here we go. Now, you've seen these 1,000 times, and you'll see it 1,000 times more. Blank score sheet. I'm going to fill it out by hand, come back and discuss it. I want you to do the same thing, whether it be with a commercial example or a beer that's labeled an American wheat beer or one that's close enough or within the range so you can judge it as a out-of-style beer. And then we'll come back. We'll discuss what I have, and let's just go do that now. All right, I am back, and I have my score sheet, and I'm going to show it is complete. That is just something I'm going to try to hammer home in every one of these, so it's going to be really annoying to hear me say it, but completeness is your best bet into getting a good score in this. Now, I am going to say I kind of actively did something on this score sheet. Even though it's complete, it's still not a great score sheet, and I'll explain why. And it's going to kind of lead into something that we're going to do in the future in some of our study styles. But let's get to the evaluation of this beer. So, starting with aroma, I wrote weedy, doughy, nearly wet flour-like aroma. Sweet citrus hop notes along with an accompanying bright orange zest and lemon drop character. A very delicate wildflower note. faint, overripe apple and pear-like esters that present more as the sample warms up. And I gave the score on aroma 11 out of 12. For appearance, I said a cloudy appearance approaching hazy, a medium frothy, moussey white head on pour that fell to a medium-sized color on a small island of bubbles floating on top of the beer. And that was a 2 out of 3 because I remembered distinctly that the study card, which I'm having trouble picking up, said under appearance, a big, long-lasting white head. It was neither. It was not, even on report, was not big. It was no better than medium, and certainly was not long-lasting. Now, here's where I kind of was actively making I don't want to say bad score sheet, a not great score sheet, but still filling in all the character. And I'll explain a little bit when I'm done. See if you can pick up on what's different from what you just heard. So, flavor. Doughy wheat character immediately hits the palate. A sweet base malt flavor follows. Bright citrus notes on the tongue. Ripe red apple follows. A bitterness comes out in the finish and follows in the aftertaste and doesn't linger. Aftertaste leans more towards sweet without being cloying. So what I didn't do there is I did not give any intensity to anything, whether it be low or high. I only said what I tasted wasn't low, medium, or high on anything. That would likely count against me in the judging of this score sheet. However, still filling it out is a good thing. But that likely would affect my score in judging, even though it's complete. Completeness does get you far, but only so far. There are things we need to do. So we will be discussing that in future style session studies and talking about filling out our score sheets. So I kind of just wanted to make an example of, even though it's filled out, it's still not the best description of the flavor, because how strong are the doughy wheat characters? Doesn't say. How sweet is the sweet base malt? Doesn't say, and so on and so forth. So just a little bit of kind of a thing to put in your head for the future that we're going to discuss, and hopefully we can improve on when we get to our judging exam. So moving on to mouthfeel, which I kind of gave up on trying to do this exercise because it's impossible to describe mouthfeel without using intensities. Medium body, medium to high carbonation level, good fit for style. No noticeable or distracting alcohol warmth, a smooth, silken-like creamy texture. Carbonic bite accentuates all the noted character, and no astringency. And I gave a 5 out of 5 on that. I gave an 18 out of 20 on flavor, and I forgot to mention that. Going on to overall impression. So a very well-made beer, well-crafted beer. Flavor profile could improve with a bit more wheat character. Consider adding more to the grist. That's actually probably a badly written suggestion. I didn't say more what. I maybe should have said more wheat in the form of wheat malt or flaked wheat. I didn't do that on purpose. I just realized that now. Head fell faster than expected for style. More protein rich malt additions may add to expected head character. Malt and hop balance was very pleasant, and that was a 9 out of 10. And overall, 45, which puts it in the outstanding range, which should be no surprise. And I gave that matrix everything the highest score. It is a classic example of this beer. It's probably one of the most common ones, I would think, in this area. And just a good beer overall. And I have a little bit left that I brought in with me, and the can's still out there. Hopefully it's not getting too warm. At the time of recording this, it is still July in Florida, and it is hot out there. But I'm going to enjoy this because it's still cold and in my hand. And say, cheers. We're done. Category 1. We are going to, if you're following this training program in order that everything is posted, we're going on to study style session 2, which is international loggers. So we will be doing more of what we just did there. So I hope to see you there. And no matter what order you're doing this in, I hope you're following along with your score sheets. That's a very, very important piece of training for the exam, and a very important piece of practice, especially the handwritten part. I tried, as a side note, I tried to write this one legibly, and my hand was not having it, and I wanted to get done because I've got a couple more to do tonight, a little behind the scenes information there. So that is it. Thank you for watching. I will see you in that next session.